Hey, it's due, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my hair up because this is gonna be a kind of stacks of books. Let's get to it video. I want to go over what's finished, what I'm in the middle of, what I still have planned, which I've already talked about. And then it's time. It's time to, for me at least, I wanted to make some room on my shelf and prepare for another reading prompt, which is going to be a week or more, definitely more of reading, as this last sort of reading period is definitely going to run into more than a week. We're about at the 1 week mark from when I made the last TBR video, so it's a good time to just kind of check in. I'm probably going to do, as I did with the last kind of round, a midway check-in, because these are the books that are completely finished, with also one fully digital book, which was Salt Houses, that was finished. And then I am about almost half the way through A Tale for the Time Being, and almost completely through listening to How to Pronounce Knife. This one I anticipate to finish probably on the walk this evening. This one I anticipate to finish probably tomorrow, but get a good, I have some reading plans this evening to actually sit and read this a little bit. So I'll get a stretch on this. And then I still have, I have a book that came up, the In-Between Bookstore. I decided to grab it. I decided to go ahead and grab it. I don't know if I'm going to read it in this, but I'm definitely going to read, I'm most likely going to read Las Malas, Bad Girls, which came up digitally. And one other book that's really, of the books that I already talked about, wow, there's just this. You can see I started it, but then I bumped it for some of this other reading. Days of Distraction by Alexandra Chang. It was in my Asian American Pacific Island Heritage Month sort of TBR prompts, and a book that I was hoping would come off my Libby hold, because I probably will read, definitely the font won't work for me in this book. So I definitely will read it digitally, and very little, if any, in this physical copy, which introduced me from a little free library to its existence. And that is Shark Dialogues by Kiana Davenport. This follows 7 generations of Native Hawaiians and fits very well into that prompt. So that'll probably round off that prompt. Okay. That was just a quick catch up. I want to talk about my next prompt, which is books with names in the title. I'd like to say, no, not names. I've already done that 2 prompts ago. Sorry. Books with family members in the title. So for instance, mother, father, son, sister, brother, or the word family. I have a lot of such said books. I said that I was going to prioritize books which are exploring the Asian American Pacific Islander or Hawaiian experience, but that isn't necessarily true. I just went ahead and pulled books off, and I went ahead and hauled recently a book that could fit into this, which I may or might put on it. I'm just gonna start. So The Mothers by Britt Bennett, I hauled from a little free library. I was super excited. I think I got this, actually this was a Goodwill. Anyway, I think I got this right after I got The Vanishing Half, or right before, and it was the first time I kind of broke my having 2 books by the same author rule without having read the first one first. So I'm just setting up all kinds of rules to break. I'm saying all that to say, I have been really excited to read one of the 2 that I have, so that I can justify having more than one book by an author I've never read. And this book, of course, The Mothers, of course, the cover, and of course, the somewhat the acclaim made it more easier for me to grab. But this is a book that is titled The Mothers, but I believe it really is about ambition. And I'm sorry, I said ambition because I just read it on the back. I think this is a lot about friendship and expectations. I think this book starts in high school with some friends, and there's one who's just recently lost her mother. And there's some hiding of the truth in this book and how that comes back to bite you. I'm really like, yes, this book, The Mothers, most definitely it will very most likely be read. It's going to be on this TBR challenge with the full intention of reading it. In this particular challenge, I don't know if I'm going to do a read or unhaul. I might do a read or reshelf, just because kind of I'm so busy, and I'm just kind of at that place where there's a little bit of mania of like, okay, I want to get to all of these things. And you know, when you're a little bit too busy and a little bit overwhelmed, you want to get to a whole bunch of things for yourself that you might not be able to get to. And I think I'm being a little bit overreaching on how many books I plan to read for one prompt. 5 if would have been more than fine, and busy 3 would have been fine. I have way more than that here, so I digress. Let me keep going. The next book that I have in this pile, and probably that I won't read in this order, is Alice Walker's By the Light of My Father's Smile. I was super excited to find this. It was at a Friends of the Library book sale. It was at the same Friends of the Library book sale where I found several authors from the 90s who are endeared to me. So super stellar. This is the first Alice Walker I've actually found in any thrifting, any little free library, and any Friends of the Library experience. So really excited, have been waiting to get for it. Didn't even shelf it. It's just been sitting here waiting for this prompt. I don't know what the premise of this book is about because there's no writing on this book about the premise, and I'm fine with that. Alice Walker's enough for me to not want to have to look it up and find anything out more about it. So I believe I haven't read it. We'll see once I get into it. I had once in my life read a lot of Alice Walker, so maybe I've read it before. Totally worth a reread, especially since I can't really remember. So the next book, it has been on my shelf for a long time. It could be a read or unhaul, actually, at this point. This book does not exist in, my libraries don't have it in digital or audio, so this is going to be one of those, hopefully, on a weekend. Next weekend's a holiday weekend, and then I'm actually traveling across the country, but hopefully on a sunny day where I can be outside, where I can just really handle being only in the physical copy. I'm hopefully going to get to this book, and that's His Mother's Son by, I think it's Kai, but it could be Chai. I think it's Kai Emmons. Kai Emmons lives in Eugene, Oregon, and teaches at my alma mater. And this book is about a woman who is an ER doctor, really hyper-achieving person, seems to have it all together, but is kind of, things are falling apart. So that's going to impact her relationship with her son, and there we get into the story. The next book that I have to talk to you about came from the haul of the thrift shop that does 10 books for $5. So this is one of my more recent hauls. And decided to just kind of hold on to it and get to reading it. This I believe is going to be sort of mystery thriller, and that's going to put like a genre fiction onto this reading prompt, which I'm excited for. I believe this is a story of 2 sisters. They were orphaned together. They are very, very close. One gets into an abusive marriage, and then the book sort of leaves the synopsis in the back leaves us with a question of, what would you do for for someone you love? So, I'm excited. I'm excited, to have a mystery thriller. I haven't read one in a while, so I felt kind of compelled to go ahead and make sure that one is grabbed for this in at least one upcoming prompt. Another arc is How to Love Your Daughter by Gila Bloom and translated by Daniela Zamir. This was found at a little free library. This was in fact found at my favorite little free library, even though it doesn't have that stamp that I always look for. I was beside myself when I found this book. This is so this will fit in an Asian American Pacific Islander as well. This is an Israeli author. This will be my first Israeli author in this reading sort of this reading era, the voracious reading era that I'm in, and it is not the only Israeli author on my shelf, but definitely the one that I'm most excited to read so far. So the only little blurb on the back says is the seemingly inexplicable estrangement between a woman and her grown daughter opens up a troubling question. What damage do we do in the blindness of love? For anyone who, lives with some family estrangement, even if the intentions were good, the reality is people have to live their separate lives. I think that this is going to be an interesting look at that. These chapters are short, sweet, quick, and this is not very long book. So I expect this book to go quite quickly, but although the reading will go quick, that doesn't mean the thinking about it necessarily will go quick. The next book just seems a bit fun and a little, maybe even along the lines of trendy. This was hauled at the Friends of the Multnomah Library in Portland, Oregon. This is Holly Gramazio's The Husbands. I think this book has been talked about enough that maybe many, if not most, people know about it, but in case, so this book follows a woman. She's gone to a party, maybe a bachelorette party. She comes home. There's a husband there. Well, she wasn't married. So she's like, what are you doing here, husband? She then has to sort of like adapt to this life with her husband and sort of figure out who she is or what life means to have a husband. And then the husband, she was wondering, from whence did this husband come? Alas, he came from the attic where there's a husband factory. And in fact, she can trade in husbands. And I'm not clear because I haven't read the book yet. If she just is like, yeah, I'm done with you. Go back to banish to the attic, send a new one down, or if new ones just come down. It sounds like then, we get a variant of scenarios of what life would be like living with different kinds of men in marital bliss or lack thereof. And it has a sort of sliding doors feel to it. It also has a men, so there's going to perhaps be some social commentary on the institution of marriage and also the patriarchy around men's role inside of marriage. That's what I'm hoping for. It also could just be this wild sort of somewhat sci-fi, a little bit speculative, go back to the attic, husband, I'm ready for a new one, humorous thing. The one thing that I will remind you of is that this book comes with a bookmark. Super excited. I always leave the bookmarks in the book until I read them, and then I greedily keep them for my own future use and or just hoardiness, because I give up the books, but I keep the bookmarks. This particular bookmark is from a bookstore on Haight Street in San Francisco. So the last book that I had originally had planned for this haul was The Family Chow, and that was the one that I wanted to make sure to take off. It has the word family, maybe the kickoff book, maybe the transition between Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month and Hawaiian Native Heritage Month. And this next reading prompt, The Family Chow by Lan Samantha Chang follows a family that's living in sort of smallish, townish, well, aren't they all almost, in Wisconsin, and runs a that runs the Chinese restaurant there. I think there's going to be a lot of looking at what it's like to be the Chinese family of the Chinese restaurant in these small towns in middle America, or maybe middle lots of places. And I speculate that there's going to be some sort of stereotyping and looking at what the stereotyping is. There's might be some generational look of like what an immigrant's children, first generation, second generation looks like, depending on how long this family has had this restaurant. And definitely a look at what sort of kind of explicit and implicit racism happens in rural communities, where if you're part of the community, you belong, but you do ever fully belong sort of situation. That's what I think this book is about. I have read the synopsis and I have my thoughts, but I try to do what I'm doing right now, is just kind of speculate so that I can get excited and then be either woefully disappointed or joyfully wrong. And find that out joyfully that I'm wrong, that the book did so much more. And both have happened in this sort of recent reading journey I've been on. This last book I'm going to talk about, I just got today. I probably won't talk about the couple of books I got in a haul today in a haul video. But I will mention this book, and this is Layla Lalami, who I've heard enough about. I'm excited to read. A Moroccan-American writer. This book is called Secret Sun. I believe the setting is Morocco. And I lived in Morocco for a summer, studied modern standard Arabic. I didn't stay in Casablanca, I think, where this is taking place. I stayed in Rabat, the capital. But it might mean that I have to bump one of these other books off of this reading prompt, because there are just a lot. And there are some other things that I'd like to get to before summer. And also, I mean, who cares? I'm reading. Like, reading is about the joy of reading. So this is just a way to kind of prioritize and organize. And I want to honor that. And I also want to honor that, as I said before, I'm a busy person that's even busier these days. And I'm reading at a pace that's just probably not sustainable for the amount of busy I am. So I might choose to read this and just one or two others. Definitely the husbands. I for whatever reason, well, that book was on hold as well for quite a while. And the digital, although I probably could just read the physical copy, the digital copy is available to me. So as I'm kind of rambling right now, I just read Mrs. Dalloway. So if anyone has read Mrs. Dalloway, you can understand how I might be a little rambly right now, stream of consciousness. Yeah, I might have to pare this way down, but this is my super ambitious books with the titles of family members book stack. And I'm not going to get to it, for another several days, but it should keep me busy. It should probably take me through the trip, because besides the travel time, I am at a really, really, really demanding kind of conference, and I won't be reading very much. So I anticipate that this is 2, maybe more weeks of reading. And I'll be checking in soon with books and review video of the 5 or 6 that I've just read, maybe these 2 that I'm in the middle of, and we'll go from there.